What's up, guys? It's me, Tiff, and I'm in New York City watching Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial in person. As I've stated, it won't be televised. There are no phones, electronics, or cameras allowed in the courtroom, so I'm going in person every single day, and I'll be sharing updates here on YouTube, on Twitter, on Substack, etc. So if you want to follow me, feel free to. Today, we watched Caroline Ellison get cross-examined by Sam Bankman-Fried's attorneys, and we got to listen to a spicy, secretly recorded Alameda internal all-hands meeting recorded in the days leading up to the collapse. So I'm not gonna lie, I thought that Caroline Ellison's cross-examination was pretty underwhelming. I initially expected her to be grilled the hardest out of any of the witnesses because of Sam and Caroline's sort of checkered relationship history. Sam's lawyers would sort of start down a line of questioning, like asking about Sam's PR strategy, or about his ambitions, or about a rivalry between Alameda Research and a competing firm called Modulo. And Sam Bankman-Fried has told me in conversation that he used to have a fling with the CEO of Modulo, and that apparently there was some competition between the CEO of Modulo named Lily Zhang and Caroline Ellison, but Sam's lawyers didn't really seem to press on any of those facts or go too deep into any of these lines of questioning. I think that the one noteworthy piece of information that Sam's lawyers were able to get out of Caroline was that apparently during one of Caroline's meetings with the government, she told prosecutors that Sam Bankman-Fried might not actually be aware that legacy FTX customers were still wiring money to Alameda Research-owned bank accounts, namely those of North Dimension, in 2022 ahead of Alameda and FTX's collapse. Sam Bankman-Fried has actually fiercely denied that he was aware that FTX customers were still wiring money to Alameda Research-owned bank accounts, both in public interviews and in my private conversations with him, and honestly, I found that very difficult to believe. But Caroline Ellison actually seemed to sort of corroborate his side of the story here, that he really might not have known that FTX customers were still wiring money to Alameda Research bank accounts in 2022. However, even if that's really the case, it certainly doesn't exonerate him of all of the alleged crimes and the fact that he implemented an essentially unlimited line of credit for Alameda on FTX and seemed to knowingly draw on that line of credit, dipping into FTX customer funds to make illiquid venture investments and repay loans from third-party lenders. Because that seems very steely to me, but I'm not the judge and I'm not in the jury. That is just my perception of the situation. We did also learn that apparently Caroline Ellison has already found herself a new boyfriend. Apparently he is a former FTX and Alameda Research employee. She does seem to date coworkers quite a bit, but no judgment there. I've done the same thing. Meanwhile, I'm still single and alone and I haven't even committed fraud. But anyway, sorry to cut the video off midway, but I wanted to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Aura. Aura is an identity theft and data security company which protects you from scammers and hackers by scanning the web and the dark web for your sensitive information like your password, social security number, phone number, home address, etc., and automatically alerts you if it finds any of your sensitive information leaked anywhere on the internet or on the dark web, and automatically requests removal for you. So Aura's actually found some of my personal information leaked out there on the internet, like my passwords, my phone number, and my home address, and they've automatically alerted me and requested removal for me. So I've actually been using Aura for almost a year now, and I actually pay for a monthly subscription to Aura, and Aura is actually offering my followers a 2-week free trial at aura.com/Tiffany, or you can use this handy little QR code right here. But personally, I think it's worth even checking out the 2-week free trial just to see if any of your personal information has been leaked out there on the internet or on the dark web, so that you can try to get that removed. You can obviously cancel at any time if you don't like them, but I use them, I love them, and thank you Aura for sponsoring this video. Okay, back to Sam Bankman-Fried's trial. The rest of Caroline Ellison's cross-examination to me sort of felt like a waste of time and a dead end, so I don't think we need to spend too much time going into the rest of the cross-examination. To me, it doesn't feel like Sam's lawyers are doing too great a job. They also continually piss off Judge Lewis Kaplan. He seems to be at his wit's end because they ask such repetitive questions and sort of waste his time. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so who am I to judge? We then moved on to the next witness named Christian Drappi. Christian was a software engineer at Alameda Research, and he was present during the final days leading up to the collapse. During Christian's testimony, we got to listen to a secretly recorded internal all-hands meeting recorded by an Alameda employee named Rick Best, who apparently was a trader who joined Alameda 3 days prior to the collapse. So he really went out with a bang. In the November 9th internal all-hands meeting recorded literally 2 days before FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, Caroline Ellison addresses Alameda Research employees, admitting that last year, Alameda Research began borrowing money through open-term loans to make illiquid investments, and that Alameda ended up borrowing funds from FTX in order to repay those loans. The witness, Christian Drappi, asked if there was a plan to repay FTX customers, and Caroline said that FTX FTX was trying to raise funds, but Christian Drappi took issue with this response because he said that when companies are trying to raise funds, they're typically for exciting growth rather than to fill a hole in a balance sheet. Caroline also admitted that Alameda's loan on FTX was not done through normal spot margin. This is a problem for Sam Bankman-Fried because, as I understand his argument, he's continually stated that FTX customer funds ended up at Alameda Research because Alameda Research was a customer on FTX.com and that FTX.com had a margin program, so he's argued that Alameda Research just had a margin position on FTX and that he didn't realize how big that margin position had grown. But Caroline Ellison seems to refute that argument, as I understand it. I will say that I'm not someone who's ever margin traded. In the audio played in court, Caroline then went on to list some of Alameda's biggest investments, such as buying FTX equity back from Binance, investing in GDA, a mining company for $1 billion, an investment in Anthropic, an AI company, an investment in K5, which she described as people who talk to celebrities, as well as their investments into BlockFi and Voyager. Caroline was then asked who was aware of this, to which she responded, Sam, Nishad, and Gary. Christian Drappi then said that he was sure this wasn't like a YOLO decision, and he then had to define YOLO to the judge, but he said that he asked because he wanted to confirm whether or not this was a deliberate decision, and when he asked whose decision this was, Caroline Ellison said, Sam's, I guess. During her cross-examination, Caroline also actually clarified that when she said Sam's, I guess, she said the I guess part was sort of a nervous vocal tic because she was trying to be honest in her answer but just felt very uncomfortable in that situation. Caroline Ellison was sort of nervously laughing and giggling throughout this audio. Christian Drappi said that he interpreted this as nervous laughter rather than her actually being happy or in a good mood. I will say that I also laugh and smile when talking about really disastrous topics like FTX's bankruptcy, so no judgment on her there. I actually react the same way to disasters, but I'm just noting that she was laughing throughout all of this. Anyway, after Christian Drappi's testimony, Zach Prince, the founder and CEO of BlockFi, actually took the witness stand. His testimony hasn't fully begun, so we'll be hearing from Zach Prince tomorrow. I will say that I've actually spoken to Zach Prince before. He started following me on Twitter because I was posting a bunch of leaked information about Celsius Network. I guess that's a story for another day in case you don't know any of my background, but I leaked a bunch of information about another crypto company called Celsius Network that I lost 6 figures to. Anyway, Zach Prince started following me on November 3rd, exactly 1 week before FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Seems like a really nice guy, but I did actually DM Zach on November 10th, the day before FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, because I had seen that FTX sort of bailed out BlockFi in the past. So hearing that FTX might be having some difficulties, I was wondering if BlockFi was okay. I said, hey, just wondering how BlockFi is faring in the FTX meltdown. I remember hearing about a purchase deal between the companies, so was wondering if you were able to speak on it. Also completely understand if you're not able to. BlockFi proceeded to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy later that month, so needless to say, Zach Prince did not get back to me on that question. But anyway, tomorrow we will cover Zach Prince's testimony against Sam Bankman-Fried. Like I said, I've been going to Sam Bankman-Fried's criminal trial in person every single day, so I'll be sharing updates and summaries on Twitter, YouTube, Substack, etc. And again, I don't actually work for anyone, so I'm not actually being paid to attend this trial. I'm just personally invested since I've been covering it so closely, and I got to interview Sam Bankman-Fried in person multiple times during his house arrest, so I actually care what happens in this trial, but also please forgive me if I end up missing a few days here and there in the future because I am absolutely exhausted. I'll probably have a little mini mental breakdown at some point soon because I'm running on no sleep every single day. Just a quick note, I've also been sharing some little excerpts from my in-person conversations with Sam Bankman-Fried, as well as some snippets from the multitude of personal writings that he sent me over his house arrest. So if you're interested in seeing any of that, feel free to subscribe to me on Twitter or on Substack. If you've been enjoying the coverage, feel free to follow me. But anyway, I'll be back with more updates very, very soon, and I love you all so very much. I hope I get more than 2 hours of sleep tonight. Love you. Bye. This is my Marvel style end credit scene, and I wanted to add a little note about a sidebar yesterday. So when we're in court and the lawyers and the judge congregate for a sidebar, they actually play white noise so that the audience is not able to listen to what they're saying, but the content of these sidebars is included in transcripts after the fact. Yesterday during a sidebar, Danielle Sassoon, an AUSA prosecutor, apparently accused Sam Bankman-Fried of trying to intimidate Caroline Ellison, stating that Sam Bankman-Fried was visibly laughing, scoffing, and shaking his Sam's head during her testimony. Sam's lawyer, Mark Cohen, apparently said, "Your Honor, this is ridiculous. The defendant is attending his trial." Unfortunately, when I'm in the courtroom, Sam Bankman-Fried is facing forward towards the judge, so I mostly just see the back of his head, so I can't actually confirm or deny whether or not he was really laughing and scoffing during Caroline's testimony. I can't really confirm whether or not that really happened since I just see the back of Sam's head for most of trial. Just thought that was a funny bit. Anyway, I'll see you all very soon.